Let's get into it. Soul Not For Sale podcast. Coach Colin here and the wife.
Hello.
And we are covering a topic that's very, very alarming, to be quite honest, but kind of good that it's actually happening and there's like a lawsuit going forth.
Yes.
Can you read the headline of what it is?
Federal suit accuses Alabama of modern-day slavery for inmate labor.
So they are accused of some pretty wild things. And we have two Joe Rogan clips that kind of support what these people, I guess, that are prosecuting this prison are saying is going on.
Yep.
If that makes sense. Yeah, it's very interesting to see how the business of prisons works and what they are allowed to do to people.
Yeah, we have some stories of particular people coming up as well.
Yeah, exactly.
What they've been through.
Exactly. Don't forget about IamCoachColin.com. We got The Great Resist. We got Soul Not For Sale. And we got the one that I'm wearing right now, Public Enemy #1. Let's get into this Rogan clip. Discount code IamCoachColin. Let's go. What?
Families up out of poverty. That's the change. That's the difference. I mean, incarceration will go down exponentially if people begin to feel like they were important, to feel valued because someone's invested in them.
This is where it gets dangerous because the prison industrial complex is a business and the business protects itself. There's been prison guard unions that have lobbied to keep marijuana illegal in states because they want work, which is one of the most evil things you could ever consider, that you're using human beings as batteries so you can generate money, keeping them in a cement box, that you essentially using them as batteries to generate money.
The whole thing, it's fascinating that you brought that up. I read about that recently, and I thought that I misread it. I did not understand the connection at first. It kind of went over my head that a union would fight to keep marijuana illegal until I started to say, well, wait a second, you're just missing the obvious conclusion here. One of the obvious conclusions is, the leading cause of contraband in prisons aren't like family members stuffing things down their pants and coming through. It's guards. It's prison guards.
Of course.
And, I just think that, I guess where I get frustrated when you said this is where it gets tricky. Where it gets tricky for me and where I get frustrated and feel like overwhelmed. I'm listening to the two of you speak and thinking to myself, you both get it. Right. The question becomes to me, well, how do we make it happen? So how do you rebuild a community like Brownsville, Brooklyn? Right. Everybody knows Brownsville because Mike Tyson comes from there. Zab Judah comes from there. Some pretty famous fighters come from there. Biggie Smalls comes from there. Riddick Bowe. And they're not going back there.
Shannon Briggs.
Yeah, Shannon Briggs.
Let's go, champ.
Shannon the Cannon.
Shout out to Shannon.
Yeah, that's my guy. So I don't. They go back and try to do what they can, but it's like, start with Brownsville. Why? How do we solve the problem? Is it us trying to convince the owner of a sports team, a billionaire, a philanthropist, someone to go here's a plan. Let's go to the mayor, Eric Adams, and propose this community center. I mean, I just don't know what, and this is this might be out of ignorance for me because I can only take on what I can take on. I'm sure there's some people out there trying to get this done. But I think the more influential voices we can get behind an idea, let's try this experiment in one community. I'm at a loss for, I know what I know how to do. I know how to see a case and know that someone's innocent and fight for it. I feel like I know the right levers to pull to get that done. It gets way more difficult and intimidating to me trying to figure out, well, how do we solve this bigger social problem?
But I think it starts with shows like this.
It gets the conversation out.
From different walks of life, coming together and really talking about real issues. So, it's really an honor to be here with you, Joe. It's an honor to be in your comedy club last night, and it's definitely an honor to be here.
It's an honor to be here with you, too.
I really, really appreciate it, man. And this gets the conversation out there, right? And hopefully people will hear the conversation and people will begin to galvanize and say, well, what can we do?
At least the thought is out there now.
The thought is out there.
And we've put it out there many times now, and I feel very blessed to be your friend. And I feel very fortunate that you have you've come on here and trusted this platform with all these stories, because it changed the way I thought of our system, our legal justice system. I have a completely different opinion after having conversations with you. And it's not just me. It's everybody who listened to these conversations. So you're talking about millions and millions and millions of people have heard these conversations now. It's a crazy number. And we've done a lot of them now. And we keep doing them. And as we keep doing them, it gets out more and more and more. And slowly but surely, something's going to happen. It's going to have to. If we value humanity, if we really value our community, which is what our country's supposed to be. It's supposed to be a united group of human beings.
That's right.
It's supposed to be a big community. And we can isolate it into neighborhoods, we can isolate it into cities, but reality, we're supposed to be all on the same team. If we're all on the same team, if you care about these people, how is it possible that you can continue to ignore it decade after decade? And it's going to take a lot of work. This is not going to be a thing that you're going to fix because you have grown people that have been indoctrinated into these horrific ways, and these people have to somehow or another have hope to change, which is a big thing for people. It's hard for people to lose weight. You know, it really is. Just stop eating food is hard to do. That's all you have to do is not do something that you know you shouldn't be doing, and it's hard. To change your whole life, if you've been involved in gangbanging and drug dealing because you had no other options and you had no other role models and you had no other examples anywhere around you of people that had hope, and you felt like, well, the rest of the world is different and what we got here sucks and that's just the way it is and I'm just going to be a part of it. And that's how human beings do. We imitate our atmosphere, whether it's positive or negative. We're a part of a tribe. And this tribe should be expanded. It should be expanded to the whole fucking world. But at the very least, we have to be an example here in America. We have a possibility because of these kind of conversations, because of this narrative. We have a possibility to change, particularly the way young people look at it. This idea that people that live 4 blocks away are different than people who live right next door is nuts. We're all just humans, and if there is a community that's fucked, it's better for everyone if we chip in and do whatever the fuck it takes to re-engineer that. And it's going to take a long time. There's an old saying from gambling and pool. They would say, you got to get better the same way you got sick. Meaning, if you're gambling, say if I got you stuck like $10,000, you're like, okay, all or nothing. Like, fuck you. Fuck you, double or nothing. Fuck you, we play for $1,000. So then I win 11,000 and then another 1,000. Now I win 12,000. You can't just win one and get it all back. You got to get better the same way you got sick. Mm-hmm. It's a long road.
It's a process.
Hey, listen, that's you made me feel better, both of you.
He feels better. That's it. He's good. No, I'm kidding. It's a much longer episode, and he doesn't feel good just right off of that. I will say right off the bat, that's actually a bad analogy when we're talking about what we're talking about. You got to get better the same way you got sick, because we're kind of doing that in society right now, which is the way a lot of people think the way that we're going to make things better for people of color is by dragging white people through the mud now.
True.
You know?
Yeah.
And it's like,
I hear that a lot.
That's not gonna solve things at all.
Like, have you seen that Instagram video where a guy just goes around and he asks black people, is being white okay?
Oh yeah, and these two
and they're
ladies,
like, no.
These two ladies like go off. Yeah, explaining. It's so crazy.
That's so weird. But you're right, that's not really the right analogy.
No, not at all. Not even slightly. No. Maybe in the sense of it happened in increments, and it's gonna have to happen in increments to get better.
For sure.
But yeah, like we've kind of been using that method, and it's not working. It's not working, not at all. That just doesn't work. You can't just make white people feel terrible, especially the white people of today feel terrible for slavery and the things that are going on and blah blah blah. It's just not fair.
Yeah.
It's just not fair just to have people feel bad for something that they didn't do. I always say that America is the only place where everybody is taught to be ashamed. Like, black people are taught to be ashamed of slavery being in their past. White people are also taught to be ashamed of slavery being in their past. Mm-hmm. And everybody's taught to wear that as if it happened yesterday.
Yeah, and like apologize.
Yeah, and nobody is just, it's you're almost evil if you're saying like, get past that. Like, you have to get past that. You know, it didn't actually happen to you. Mm-hmm. You know, like, you didn't do it. It didn't actually happen to you. And if both, you know, I don't know. People don't like to hear that, but what can you do? Mm-hmm. I don't know. I got another clip for you guys, but yeah, let's talk about this whole clip just from the beginning. And I'm going to skim through to the next clip for you guys. Oh, and I'm wearing glasses. I know it seems weird. I'm not a clone. Don't worry. This is not part of the cloning process. They're blue blockers. When it gets dark outside and it's nighttime, I got to go to sleep soon, I wear these. So It's just part of that. You gotta tell people, right? You gotta let people know you're not a clone. But that's what a clone would say, you know?
No, it's true. That's true.
But what Joe brought up at the beginning of the clip, talking about human batteries.
Yeah. That's interesting.
It's very true.
Because that's literally what they do.
Yeah.
I read like an opinion article about that, saying that a lot of these people who are incarcerated would have been part of the workforce. So by taking them out of the workforce, that's like, it's a detriment to society. So when you put them into prisons, they need to work.
Yes.
That was that person's argument.
Oh, they're saying they they need it for like their soul kind of thing.
Like society needs them to continue to be part of the workforce, because you can't just take out whatever % of people and then expect everything to run as normal.
See, here's the thing, and I know I said it to you off camera. I said there's going to be a lot of people who are going to have the view, if you can't do the crime, if you can't do the crime, you can't do the time, don't do the crime. A lot of people are going to feel that way. And it's in this case with what we're talking about and what you're about to hear in this next clip in terms of what they're forced to do at the wage they're forced to do it in. Prison is about rehabilitation.
Yes.
It's about figuring out that crime you did was wrong, that family that you hurt, that store owner that you hurt, whatever it is that you did. You're supposed to be figuring out that that was the wrong thing to do. And you're supposed to repent, whether it's you find religion or you actually find that family and apologize. But you're supposed to have this repent and this guilt, and you're supposed to correct this behavior.
Yeah.
And you're supposed to be in this place figuring out how to correct that behavior. You're not supposed to be doing slave wage stuff, white or black. I don't care who it is. White, black, Asian.
Yeah, no.
You're not supposed to be doing. That's not going to help.
It's just going to make people more upset.
It's just going to make people angry.
It's just going to fuel the fire. Exactly.
Like, think about it right now. If you're out there, okay, right? You're a white male, and they've had this way of demonizing white males and making you feel bad for everything that you are. Masculine, you're toxic, you're misogynistic, all of these things that were fine just 10 years ago. And they're making you feel bad right now, and they're shaming you because of it. Is that making you feel like you want to apologize? Or is that making you feel angry and making you feel like you want to be more of that? And you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, it doesn't actually help at all to do that to people, to be putting them through something like that. It doesn't do anything.
No.
It just makes them come out and go, okay, well.
When you treat people as non-humans, they're going to lash out.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. I don't know. It seems so silly to that people think that that's the way.
Yeah,
but
it's very backwards.
It's just, it doesn't rehabilitate at all. And that's what you want, because eventually these guys who are doing what we're talking about and what you're about to hear in this clip, and I'm going to play it in a second, eventually they get out. Yeah. And they just come out stronger, and they just come out with more resolve, and they just come out thinking, they just come out thinking they were right about the world to begin with. Mm-hmm. Like, the world comes down on you. It's a horrible place. People put you through horrible things, and then they go into jail, and it's exactly that.
Yep.
And then they come out, and they're like, well, I was right, so I'm not going to stop.
I'm not going to change anything.
Yeah, why would I change anything? I was right the whole time. I was right to do what I did. It actually does the opposite.
Yeah.
And, we'll talk about it more, but I'll just go into what this gentleman, Bruce, was talking about at the beginning of the episode. He was talking about, because we're talking about the whole business of prisons. He was talking about how all of these... how some places, some prisons, some towns are prison towns, and they depend on the prison. They need there to be people. They need it to be stocked up, overstocked even. The fact that I'm even saying stocked is crazy.
Yeah.
But they need it. It's what the town runs on. The brother works there, and he got the job from his uncle, and his father worked there as well, and his sister works at the front desk, and the cousins work there, and the friend works there, and like everybody works there. Yep. It's almost like I was telling you off camera, I was comparing it to Detroit and back in the day when everybody would work at General Motors. Mm-hmm. It's like, you didn't need a high school degree. You just needed to go through a few steps. Your father works there. He's going to get you in. You're going to be fine. You're going to be part of a you're gonna get benefits, good wage, you're gonna be able to buy a house, you're gonna be able to support a wife, kids, you're good.
Yeah.
So they depend on that to be there. And
Yeah.
it's kind of sick. It's kind of sick that that's the way it works in some places. Right to the point of what they were talking about, that there was actually a police union fighting to keep marijuana illegal because they knew it leads to convictions.
Yeah.
So they can keep getting people in.
So crazy.
It's wild. All right, guys, let's go to the next clip, and then we're going to go deeper into this new case that's developed in Alabama. Let's go here. Oh, muted. There we
Business
go.
is not going away.
It's never going away.
And you have, if you decide to go down that road, you have a guaranteed source of income.
I mean, the product that we made in New York State prisons go by, it's called Corecraft. This is on the stock market, Corecraft. You know, the Corecraft is making upholstery in one prison. In Greenhaven, they make couches, tables like this.
How much do you guys get paid?
Well, they might make 16 cents an hour, 10 cents an hour, literally.
And they have to do it.
Oh, yeah, you don't go to program, you go into the box. In 2000, guys refused to go to Corecraft because they didn't want to build cells. They had a group of guys that found out that there was steel coming off of the van. They unloaded a truck. A group of prisoners were forced to unload a truck. And they realized what they were unloading were bars and doors. And they said, hold on, man, they opening up a shop where we have to build cells. So a few days later, these guys says, we're not doing that. We're not building cells for our kids. Oh, these guys went to the box and they shipped them from a prison that's close to their family, Greenhaven. They shipped them to Clinton.
And the box, for the listener.
The box is solitary confinement.
So if you don't
solitary
do
housing.
labor for 16 cents an hour, you get confined to solitary confinement.
Yeah, you get a misbehavior report. 9 times out of 10, when you go for that misbehavior report, you're found guilty and you're penalized for not engaging in slave wages, slave labor. That is a fact. This has gone, every prison, when COVID started, a lot of people don't know where the hand sanitizer was coming from. It was coming from Great Meadows, right? It was coming from Great Meadows, and at one point, you know, Governor Cuomo he had it on the news. We got hand sanitizer the guys are making, and this was for sale at one point.
So that's
anybody
another form of extraordinary profit.
Oh, of course.
Even more profitable than making iPhones in China, which is wild because it's already evil.
Yeah.
I mean, from everything, from you go from, okay, New York made 11 million bottles of hand sanitizer. Now it has 700,000 gallons it can't get rid of. Wow. They said a spokesperson said he makes no apologies for single-handedly solving a hand sanitizer shortage. Oh, really, spokesperson? Hey, how'd you do that? Maybe you should make an apology for how the fuck you did that.
I absolutely love this show that you can pull this stuff up in real time.
Yeah.
In real time, you can see guys like former Queens prosecutor John Scarpa.
John Scarper. Part of the reason that Bruce was released is because that person that he just brought up actually, I believe he was convicted. He was tampering with evidence from, and you know, don't quote me on this, but I'm pretty sure he was tampering with evidence throughout his career. So anytime he needed to make a conviction, he would make sure he got a conviction.
Yeah.
Which is wild.
That's horrible.
Yeah.
It's like, why aren't those people in jail?
You know, Kamala Harris did that too, right? Not tampering with evidence. She didn't do anything like that, but she was very much one of those prosecutors that would like
cherry pick cases.
Yeah, she like wanted to get the convictions.
Yeah.
Like a lot of people who were like, "Oh, black vote," like she was not about that at all. She was very hard on the African American community, like extremely hard, like very bad, very very bad, very 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 bad.
I don't think they should be judged on their conviction rates.
No,
they need to have something else that they can be judged on.
No, yeah, there's too much incentive.
Yeah,
I would think. And so just getting into Corecraft, I guess we can get into that as it goes. What do you want to do? You want to play the video towards the case that we're actually talking about?
Let's talk about Corecraft now.
Okay, let's do that.
So there's an article. Do you have that one? From Freedom United.
Freedom United.
It's a little orange icon.
Orange icon?
Yeah.
Am I on it? No.
No.
Oh, I can't even see orange right now. What is it
That's
actually?
Okay.
What does it actually say? What's the headline?
How corporations like Corecraft benefit from prison slavery.
No, I don't even have that one.
That's okay. So basically this article is talking about how Corecraft is the company behind prison labor in New York State.
Really?
Yeah. So like Bruce said on the podcast, like it's on the stock market. Like it's a profitable company. It's not like it's kind of like a branch of the government. It's private.
Oops, sorry. Yeah, go ahead.
And by itself. And he's absolutely right when he was saying jobs include building desks, chairs, shelves, and other items. And mostly they're for institutions like the City University of New York purchases these items.
Wow.
That are made by prison labor.
Interesting.
They are also assigned dangerous and unsanitary jobs such as removing asbestos, mold, and bird feces for bonus pay up to $1.30 per hour.
Wow.
And it says these wages are not even enough to purchase items from the prison commissary.
Yeah, at that point, it's not really about that. If they're doing stuff like that, they're hoping it'll get looked at as good behavior.
Yeah.
They're hoping that it'll get looked at kindly on their record and hoping to get released a little early.
Yep. And there's a story of a former inmate named Stephanie Foxworth, and she was incarcerated at the Albion Correctional Facility in New York. So she was forced to work, spending long days lifting sheet metal, and she got paid between 16 and 65 cents an hour. And she said she never chose to work for Corecraft. She was assigned to the job by the prison program committee.
Oh, yeah?
So I guess they have to, I don't know, do some kind of task. I don't really know exactly how it works.
Yeah, they'll get assigned stuff.
But she didn't choose to work for it. She was just assigned to it. She said, I wanted out of Corecraft, period. It was true slavery at its best.
Wow. Wild.
Yeah.
Wild. And what Corecraft, that wasn't correlated with the hand sanitizer, was it?
No.
No. That was a different one. The fact that that's a thing is crazy.
Yeah, I pulled up the same article that Joe had.
I mean,
just the Politico. Yeah, he got it open there.
Oh, this one?
Yeah.
Because this is so, oh man, I can't even talk about it on camera, but this is crazy.
Well, if you look at that picture, that's the remaining pallets
Of hand sanitizer? Wow.
that they had to put in like an old airport on an old runway because they didn't have space for it and it's flammable. So they had it indoors somewhere in like a warehouse. And someone came by from the state and they were like, no, like you can't keep it there. It's like a huge hazard.
Yeah, because it's so much.
Yeah.
And
So they were giving this stuff away for free, trying to like get rid of it and make sure the state was supplied.
Wow.
But now they have all of this extra stuff and it's going to cost millions and millions of dollars to dispose of it.
Wow.
Yeah. How crazy is that?
How wild is that they could do that?
And this article is from May of 2022. So I don't know if they've disposed of it since or if it's just still sitting there. And they say most of it's expired already.
Wow. Really?
Yeah. So it's just useless material.
Jeez. And they made them do that.
Yeah.
11 million bottles of hand sanitizer. Who was on? It was Andrew Cuomo. Of course.
That was his bright idea.
Yeah, like Joe said, no apologies for single-handedly solving a hand sanitizer shortage.
Yeah.
Man, that guy. It's so good that he's gone. He was terrible. I was explaining to you off camera. Him and his brother would do these like staged interviews where they'd be like arguing with each other.
Yeah.
Like as if like he's like getting tough questions kind of thing.
But it's his brother.
And
they're just trying to help each other out.
Yeah, exactly. I get to interview the governor. Yeah. I get to seem like I'm getting hit with hard questions.
Yeah. Good for ratings, good for polls.
Yeah, exactly. Before his scandal even happened, he was thinking of like it was being talked about him being like president.
That's so crazy.
Yeah, being a presidential candidate. So glad that didn't happen. It'd be terrible to have someone like him. Yeah, what else? What else we got on Corecraft? Just builds things. The hand sanitizer was a different thing.
Yeah.
So there's so many different prisons that are just doing different things.
Yeah,
like
and this is just New York that we've
Yeah.
been discussing because the guy on the podcast, Bruce Bryan, was incarcerated in New York.
Yeah.
But there's so many other states that do very, very similar things. And that's where this Alabama lawsuit comes into play because they're basically doing the same thing. But the thing that makes Alabama almost even worse is that they've been accused of denying parole to keep people in these labor programs.
Wow. Makes sense.
Yeah.
Makes sense. I mean, that's what you're gonna have to do, right? You have again. This is why it's so bad. And Joe was talking about, like, this is where it gets dangerous because it's a business. Mm-hmm. It's a business. So what makes the most sense? It's like, okay, well, like, they probably know how many people are up for parole.
Yeah.
It's like 100,000. Well, some of those guys can't make it.
Yeah.
10-20% of those guys just can't.
And they said parole has been denied very disproportionately between black and white inmates.
Really?
So they're actually keeping black inmates in longer to stay in these
programs.
Basically stay in slavery, and they'll allow the white inmates out on parole.
Yeah, yeah.
And they said the ratio is 2 to 1.
Huh. Interesting. Yeah, it's a messed up system. No one's getting rehabilitated in that.
No, it doesn't help anybody.
Even the white guy getting released, like, that's when he's up for parole. But before he's up for parole, he's doing the same stuff. Mm-hmm. It's like there's no rehabilitation going on.
Yeah.
So it's like, even we're talking about, the white and black, even the white guy getting released, it's not like he's going through just as worse, but it's like he's gonna go back.
Yeah.
Just because he didn't get any type of rehabilitation.
And those are
he just got put to work.
Statistics.
Oh yeah, I know guys. Everyone I grew up with who was institutionalized from the long bids that they did. The person I knew with the longest one was about 10 years.
Wow.
And when you come out, you're institutionalized forever. Like, there are certain words that can't be said to you, or you feel like it's life and death. Like, you have to fight. Like, your life is on the line. Like, wild.
Yeah,
like, I remember I had friends that you could not say. If someone messed up and said the word goof, it was a real problem. If somebody said, like, luckily it wasn't a word used on the outside all that much, but if somebody messed up and said that, it was like, oh man, oh, it's over. It's over. It's over. Yeah, they just had things, that you just couldn't call them. Not even jokingly. Even if they loved you, it was like, you just said this thing and I feel like I'm supposed to pounce on you right now.
Wow.
It was like very ingrained in them. The stuff, I remember having a conversation with one of my buddies. He opened up about his time inside. I think he did like 4 years. And he was just talking about the guard situation and how hard it is to navigate. He's like, because if one guard doesn't like you, all of a sudden it was almost, I could compare it to platforms, but I'll just keep it in terms of the guards and stuff. But if one guard gets upset with something you've done or posted, then all of a sudden the other guards start to make things a little harder for you.
Yeah.
Like, it just, all of a sudden, it's like the guy you did it to, his friend works at night. Now your night's a little harder. Maybe they'll move you to another place where the guards are like a little harder on you, like maybe violent wise. Like, it was so crazy to hear. And the thing that he said that stuck out to me the most, he goes, you have to understand, he goes, they're in there just like we are.
Yeah.
He goes, they just get to go home for a little bit, but they always have to come back. He's like, so they end up with a similar mentality.
Yeah. And they probably have PTSD from that as well.
Yeah.
Because at all times they're worried about being attacked.
Yeah. Yeah.
Just like the inmates are.
Exactly. And it's the same type of thing where it's like, well, I'm going to treat this guy this way because I know what happened to me like a year ago. And I know these guys don't care about me.
Yeah.
And they're all the same.
Yeah.
White or black. It's like they don't get, like, it's wild. It's a wild thing to hear. I remember that last talk with him. That was, I was like, I could never go in. I could never have that happen.
No.
I remember like that talk. I've had many talks. I've had a cousin who was in there for a long time who told me some wild stuff. And yeah, it's just really bad. Really, really bad what they go through.
There are a couple stories of people in the Alabama prison system. In one of these articles I sent you, the top of the article says Alabama Reflector is where it's from.
Yeah,
oh, perfect. Yeah, right there. So there's two people's stories in this article.
Mm-hmm.
One of them is a lady named Lakira Walker. Mm-hmm. She said in a conference call that she...
Lakira?
Yeah.
Like liqueur?
No, like Kira, but Lakira.
It's like liqueurs.
I guess.
Like drinking a liqueur.
I guess. No Q though, just a K. She said she endured dreadful work conditions in the 15 years that she was incarcerated at the Julia Tutwiler prison and a work release program in Birmingham, where she was required to work outside of prison as a condition for her release. So even as they're releasing people, they're putting conditions on them having a work program still.
Really?
Yeah.
Wait, working when they're outside?
Yes.
Wow.
So a condition of her release was that she had to stay in this work program. She said, I started working at a place called Southeastern Meats. It was a warehouse. It was a freezer. We would work from 2 p.m. to 2 a.m., 12 hours a day, with no sufficient clothing. She said, some days you were freezing cold between 30 and 40 degrees. So she's working in a freezer with no coats or anything for 12 hours.
I've done that.
It's absolutely insane.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy.
And then she alleges she was sexually harassed by her supervising officer when she was working for Jefferson County doing road work and making $2 a day. After she reported the incident, she was reprimanded for refusing to work and had to work additional hours.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
she said, so many women on the inside now are afraid to speak out because of fear of retaliation.
Yep.
And these women really, really need help.
Yeah, for
So
sure.
she's one of the plaintiffs in the case.
For sure. For sure. I don't doubt it. I don't doubt it. And there's men that feel that same way. And again, this is it's just like on the outside, where it is not white versus black. It is like for the inmates or the people versus the people in charge.
Yeah, it's always an us versus them, and it's dangerous.
Yeah, it's so, wow, just to think of that. And again, I can liken that to so many things going on now with creators. It's the same type of thing. Nobody wants to speak up about what's going on all these whatever.
Yeah.
I can't even talk about it. You don't want to get, it's
And
crazy.
there's another guy's story, because we were talking about guards. His name is Ali Mireo.
Okay.
Ali Romeo? I don't know. Ali Mireo English. A plaintiff currently incarcerated at the Ventris Correctional Facility was denied parole in November. He said he has been forced to supervise a dorm of 190 incarcerated people without any supervision from a correctional officer. So he is the guard.
Whoa.
He said in the conference call that he holds keys to gates and doors, works 12 to 14 hours a day, sometimes 7 days a week, and is on call 24 hours a day. His work allows the administration to use their limited staff in more unstructured dorms or to give them days off. And he said, why would the slave master, by his own free will, release men on parole who aid and assist them in making their paid jobs easier and carefree?
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
And that is a tactic that was used in back in slavery times. I'm
exactly.
sure, because slavery is a thing that's going on in the world right now.
Yes.
You know what I mean? India, Pakistan, there's places like that they all over the place.
Yeah.
Africa. That is a tactic that they use. They give one person power. In fact, my uncle was telling me, because I have uncles from Barbados. Barbados is the only island that didn't revolt. So Jamaica, like where my other half is from, they were like one of the first to revolt and just like take over and overtake and blah, blah, blah. Barbados never did, because there was one person, I think his name was Buster or Busker or something like that. And he was planning a revolt, and someone who was like that guy who had the power, caught wind of it, because he was half slave, half, half master, quote unquote, master when master's not around. And he told on the guy, and then that guy got caught, and then he got reprimanded to the full extent that would happen back then. And that was why they never had a revolt. And there's actually a statue of the guy. He's like in shackles, like trying to break free.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah. He was the only one who ever tried it. They never tried it again.
Ugh.
That's why Barbados is seen as kind of a soft island. Soft. The guys are a little soft from there. Never revolted. But at least I got the other side.
Yeah.
That did it right away.
Yeah, you got some hard side in there too.
Exactly. And then the Cuban.
Yeah. Wild.
Yeah. So let's actually play this video. Let's play this video. You think so?
Sure.
You good?
Right, yeah.
All
I
right,
didn't
let's
watch
do
the video. It'll be a surprise.
Yeah. Oh, muted.
People in order to use those inmates for free labor. According to the plaintiffs, it amounts to, quote, modern-day slavery. In the 126-page filing, the plaintiffs named several state agencies, but also some city governments, including Montgomery and Troy. The lawsuit claims the state, and by extension, cities and even private businesses, stand to gain financially from the labor of ADOC inmates. The plaintiffs say the 2023 alone, Alabama will use its inmate population to obtain an economic benefit of $450 million.
Since 2018, they have grown this forced labor system by replacing evidence-based parole decision-making with a highly discriminatory parole system that favors white people over Black people for release at a rate of 2 to 1. The suit we filed alleges this forced labor scheme violates the U.S. Constitution, the Alabama Constitution, and a host of federal laws.
Now, we've reached out to the state's parole board, the ADOC, and the governor's office for comment on the lawsuit. So far, we've received no comment.
Yeah, no comment. No comment's gonna come, obviously.
No. No.
They're not gonna be replying to that. How wild is it how, when you look at people who are in charge, or you look at this situation, let's even just say, to sell out your own people, because at the end of the day, inmates, they're still people, and they're still your people. They might be from different places. Maybe they just got locked up there, but at the end of the day, and it's just $450 million is enough for you to sell them out.
Yeah.
White or Black, because I'm sure there's some white guys they're like, no, you're not getting parole either. Because we just need the $450 million.
Yeah.
We just need people,
Yeah, it's crazy.
It's so $450 million.
Yeah.
That's enough to do that to people. So wild.
In
So
that
wild.
video, the lady talking, the one with the curly hair, was one of the lawyers involved in
really?
in this case. Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
So she's the one defending them. And she said that some of the private companies that were named included McDonald's, Burger King, Wendy's, and KFC.
Wow.
And they're all involved in this prison work release program.
Oh, man.
For cheap labor.
Man. Can't tell you guys how much I love Burger King.
And Wendy's.
Yeah, Wendy's is right. But Burger King, I love Burger King. I love Burger King. I love it.
Mm-hmm.
Man. Yeah, but I could definitely see it that they would do that. They're always looking for things on the cheap. Yeah. Right? And it's no cheaper thing to work, to labor than that, right?
Yeah. But I'll be clear, it's not the corporations. It's the specific franchisees that are named in this lawsuit.
Oh, really? So it's people that own them.
Yes.
And they're deciding to do that.
Yes.
Wow.
It's an independent decision outside of the corporation.
Wow. Well, they should, whatever, but I think the corporation should probably do something about that.
Probably.
You would think, right? Step in and be like, you can't do that.
Because it's so bad for the image.
Right? McDonald's is like, listen,
and
all of our fries,
bank.
all of our fries come from Bill Gates' farms. We can't afford this anymore. Stop it immediately.
Yeah, it's crazy.
We can't afford any more press like this.
Yeah.
Please.
Yeah.
Just stop. KFC's like, we can't even call ourselves Kentucky Fried Chicken anymore. Do you understand what that means? We can't even call ourselves that anymore. Okay? Just stop this. Please. Mark. Whoever owns the franchise deciding to do this. Johnny. Bubba.
Johnny and Bubba.
Yeah.
It is Alabama.
Yeah, right. Well, I mean, I did an episode on the kid who was branded as racist because he was wearing the face paint at a football game.
That was crazy.
And his dad's name was Bubba.
Oh, that's
and he was a Native American guy too.
There you go.
Native guy named Bubba. Half and half.
Yeah.
But what else you got on this?
The lawyer lady was also saying that it violated the Constitution.
Yeah.
So specifically, it's the 13th Amendment to the U.S. Constitution that abolished slavery and involuntary servitude. But it has a caveat. It says, except as punishment for a criminal conviction.
Oh, okay. So there you go. So they probably
So it's very kind of like on the
so
the ledge of the law.
Yeah, so she could fight it, but they have that to always point to.
Yes, which is crazy that technically slavery is allowed in the Constitution.
Slave labor, yeah.
For a criminal conviction.
For a criminal conviction. So if you break the law, then that can happen.
Yeah.
And again, it doesn't help anything. I'm not saying that it should change, because, it gets very slippery once people want to start changing the Constitution.
Yeah.
If you tweak the 13th, then all of a sudden they're going to be like, what about the first and the second?
Yeah.
Can we just a little... So, you don't want to do that, but...
It's very much like Animal Farm.
Yeah, exactly.
George Orwell.
Exactly. Once you start tweaking it, you start Xing certain ones
They're
out.
written on the wall and they get changed.
Yeah, exactly. So you don't want that, but it doesn't help. It definitely doesn't help. If you're looking to rehabilitate people like they claim, it's not going to do it.
No,
it's
that's
just
not
not.
the right thing.
It's just not.
Another kind of interesting tidbit is someone named in the suit as well is the governor of Alabama, whose name is Kay Ivey.
Yes, you were telling me about this.
Yeah, and I was like shocked by this because I just looked her up on Wikipedia. I didn't really have to dig too much.
Mm-hmm.
And right on Wikipedia it says a little bit about her lineage. So it says she was born as an only child to Boardman Nettles and Barbara Ivey. The family had been in Alabama for many generations, as her ancestor Ann Johnson Nettles Riley was one of several slave-owning Nettles in the state.
Let me tell you something. Okay, a lot of white people out there, you don't have to feel bad about slavery, but this lady, she certainly does.
Well, yeah.
She's still doing it. She didn't stop. Every other white family was like, we can work. We always we're fine working. We work the farms. We can do whatever. Her family was like, I don't think so.
No. Get into government. Well, it's like people like that. Then you can see. So now she's the governor of Alabama, coming from slaveholders. Like there has to be some kind of privilege going on there.
Well, I mean, she probably just stayed in position. Right? I mean,
probably her entire family benefited from whatever that was.
Yeah, they probably kept it going, right? There's a lot of families that probably just converted and, like a farmer who had something like that going on would be like, I can do it myself. I don't care.
Yeah.
Or like, I can have the same guys and I can just hire them and I can just pay them. Okay, I'll just pay them. I don't care. It's like, I'm still going to make money. We're still going to do what we have to do. And, generations of farmers, right? But her family was probably like, this doesn't stop.
Yeah.
And if there's a way to, it was probably figured out very early through the prison system that it's like, okay, this doesn't have to fully stop.
Yes.
Yeah. We can still work with people.
Yeah.
Like that kind of thing.
Well, and especially because even, I think it was in the times of the Cold War. Let me go find the actual dates in here. But Alabama was also doing it was way before the Cold War. I was wrong. Wow. So between the 1870s to the 1828, they actually had like a convict leasing system in Alabama. So it replaced slavery after the Civil War. So I think this is why they actually put that amendment into the Constitution about
except for
Yes, exactly. Because right after slavery was abolished, they started doing this prison leasing system. Basically, they would private companies would pay the state for uncompensated labor by state inmates, most of whom were forced to work in degrading and deadly conditions.
Yeah. Wow.
So then it just didn't stop.
Yeah. I mean,
they have a history of this.
And listen, this has been a phrase that a lot of people have probably feel right now. Right now we're talking about the African Americans probably who got subjected to that enough. They took the framing of slavery and they brought it to everybody.
True.
They really did. Like if you look, like sometimes when you talk to somebody who's new to the country, they will show it to you because they'll be like, I've met guys because I've had to do Uber Eats and stuff, and you'll meet like a guy from like Pakistan or something. He'll be like, life is just work. He'll be like, you just work. He's like, this is crazy.
And he's probably like a rocket scientist from
and he's just like, it's just work. He's like, it's so nuts.
Yeah.
And people are feeling it all over. White people, black people, everybody's feeling it. Middle class is disappearing. Everybody's feeling like all I do is work, and who am I working for?
Yeah.
I don't get to enjoy my life that much. I have to work just for my car and my house, if you're even lucky enough to be in a house.
True.
You know, and it's like the car just gets me to work, and I have to work as much as I can, and I have to come right back home.
Yeah.
It's like, what's the difference between a person living like that and one of those prison guards? You got to keep going back to the place.
Yeah.
And it's like you're never free from it.
I read an article
it's
recently
nuts.
about an Indian couple who immigrated here recently.
Well, yeah.
And they were saying that there's no point, like they regretted it. They were like, what is the point of doing this? Like they're not making any more money.
Yeah.
And they ended up going back.
Yeah, so many people that I've known of have done that for a while. Like I used to know a lot of Jamaicans that would do that, but it got to the point where they would just work until the winter, and then they would go back.
Yeah.
They would just get enough money and then go back, or get enough money, send back, and then end up going back, because they like understood that this wasn't the life exactly. Yeah, but that's the Caribbean. Caribbean's way laid back, so like you can feel the rush here when you're here. You're like, this is way too much, and this is like this is just year round. You do this, it's just like it's too much, so they end up going back home, and they like it like that. I've known a lot of guys like that working in warehouses and stuff. There were so many guys like that.
Yeah, that's crazy.
They would work illegally, kind of like semi-illegally, work visas. Some guys, worked it out, and then they would just go back. They just get as much money as possible, head out. Yeah, it's a wild little thing that's happening to everybody, and these guys seem like they're getting the worst of it, these inmates.
Yeah.
And again, some people are going to be like, well, they deserve it, they did a crime. It's like some of these guys, their crime is like, I stole a thing from a store.
Yeah, or like
And they're
possession of very minor things.
Yeah, like like little bits like for personal use, and somebody was like, nah, it's in a baggie.
Yeah.
Trafficking. Done. And then all of a sudden you're in there for years.
Even for personal use, sometimes you can be put in.
And the one story that guy told me when he was telling me the thing, he was like, well, not even him, my friend who was in there for a longer time, Italian guy. He was like, you go in. He's like, but the thing is, he's like, you gotta be with a group. He's like, and then you gotta do things. He's like, and then it gets tacked onto your sentence.
Oh no.
Because you gotta do stuff.
Yeah.
And if somebody tests you, you gotta do something. And it's just constant. Like you can't stay out of trouble. And if you have a cellmate and your cellmate has something, well, you can't say anything, or else something's gonna happen to you. And if he needs you to hide something, you're gonna do it. And it's crazy. It's so crazy. It's so crazy. It's so hard for those guys in there. And again, I get it. They all did something, but again, no part of that system is trying to rehabilitate them. No part of it. Nothing.
No.
The closest thing you will find to someone trying to rehabilitate you is older guys who are in there for life, and they see that you're younger, and they try to keep you away from all the craziness.
Yeah, but I feel like that doesn't happen very often.
No. There's always a couple of old guys. There's always a couple guys who get together and they try to be positive. Bruce, who was on the JRE that we were just talking, he found guys like that, older gentlemen, who were like, you need to just, stay the course and, read and go to school, because you have the option to go to school, and like just work and go to school and be good.
Yeah.
And focus on what you're going to do when you get out, focus on being a good person, like all that stuff. Like it is rare, but that's the closest thing you'll find to rehabilitation.
Yeah.
It's wild. Anyways, what else you got?
That's it.
All right, guys, like, subscribe, and hit up IamCoachColin.com. It all helps very much. You have no idea. And other than that, we are out.
Bye.